Welcome back to DC Today. Of the Fortune 500 companies, how many do you think have Black CEOs? 10, 20? Try 3. Eric Douglas Keene is the founder and president of the Keene Advisory Group in Chicago. His company helps find diverse talent at the executive level. But how many of those executives are actually being hired? We'll also find out from Eric if the Black Lives Matter movement is actually moving into corporate America and what that looks like. Welcome, Eric, to the show.
Glad to be here, Anqoinette.
It's good to have you. So your company specializes in finding diverse candidates for top-level positions. Explain how that works.
Well, we operate as a retained executive search firm, and we are approached by corporations in need of senior-level executives. We would have conversations around the nature of the role and some of the history of that position. And once we enter into an agreement, we would go out on behalf of that company and conduct an executive search from identification to qualification to introduction and managing that process through to the hire.
Okay, so how long have you been doing this? And so companies come to you, they pay you to find certain talent. Are they specifically looking for Black folks?
Sometimes the conversation is generated by a D&I discussion. Other times it is general functional or industry expertise. I've been in the industry for over 20 years and have run my firm for over 15.
And so when you are looking for folks in the C-level suite, the CEOs, the CFOs, the CIOs, COOs, you name it, are there certain things that Black folks need more of than maybe other candidates? Have you found that to be the case?
Well, I think, first of all, those are precious few roles in general. The diverse candidates, African-American candidates, as has been well documented in the past, have to be super buttoned up and address, all different levels, all different fronts. If you're light in one area, that will be noted in a way that perhaps is not the case with non-diverse candidates.
Is it really true, I've heard this, that if you didn't go to school with a certain group, or your kids don't go to the same nursery, or they don't have play dates, Black folks can be kept out, or you guys don't belong to the same country club? Is that still true to this day? It makes it harder to get into that circle?
We operate in a world of biases, both that you acknowledge and the unconscious biases that are available. And the dialogue is moving towards acknowledging that these operate. So you can know upfront about some of your biases and be able to hopefully address them or know when they're happening. The dialogue now moving to there are biases operating in the background that you may not be aware of. You have to be open to those conversations and learn more about that. To your point, not attending the proper school, living in the right neighborhood, socializing with the right people tend to weave their way into a lot of unconscious bias in the hiring decisions.
So when a big firm calls you, tell us, kind of walk us through, what is that conversation like?
So a large corporation would call us in efforts to help them identify senior level talent. As I alluded to before, sometimes the conversation is specifically around functional or industry expertise, but oftentimes we field questions around diversity and inclusion. Eric, we've heard about your firm and your capabilities in this space. Can you be of assistance when looking for senior level talent in this role? So that's the way these conversations will typically begin.
Okay, so you have been seated in the boardrooms at those meetings. What is it like? What are we not hearing out here? What have you heard?
Well, I think there is a high level of disclosure and candor once you get into the smaller boardroom types of environment. And you have to balance the willingness to share views openly, but also have that framed in a constructive manner. You don't want individuals to clam up and feel like they can't talk about the issues that they are trying to address. But at the same time, you need to also be able to create an avenue or a path for them to speak about these things constructively.
Okay, break that down because I wasn't quite following. What do you mean exactly?
So there are oftentimes discussions, and we're naive if we think they are not happening, around diversity, and that could be ethnic, cultural, gender, and what does that mean? What does that imply in terms of bringing this person on board to your company?
Mm-hmm.
Those issues are real. Those biases can be real, and it is up to the people in the room to govern themselves in a manner such that you can talk about that way in a constructive and acknowledging sense, and know that for instance, issues of age with candidates, and people want to talk about these issues or massage them. The leader, the CEO, the head of HR, the chairman of the board, needs to create a culture and maintain a culture where you can have candid conversations, but also realize when there's an amount of bias that might be coming into someone's opinion in terms of an individual's ability to do a job.
Okay, so that's a great place where we're going to pause right now, because I do want to talk about candid conversations, and especially around the Black Lives Matter movement. And are we going to see that movement move into corporate America? So when we come back, Eric, I want to talk about that. If that movement will help more Black candidates, or is it going to be business as usual? More when we come back. Stay with us.